Hey everyone, welcome back to another Mailshake success story. Today I have Barry from Leadable. He is the founder there. But Barry, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. I'm Barry Maroney, the CEO at Leadable. We're an outsourced sales development agency, primarily working with SMEs and smaller businesses who have larger contract values, typically targeting enterprise, and we're kind of fully outsourced managing all of those outbound campaigns to them.
Awesome. So yeah, outbound is definitely part of your every single day life, and I'm pretty sure you probably talk about it a ton too. But yeah, what do you use Mailshake for then?
So we use Mailshake exclusively for all of our outbound campaigns. So for the campaigns that we run, not only for leadable outreach for client acquisition for ourselves, but obviously for all of the clients that we work with, Mailshake is the tool of choice that we use to run all of their outbound campaigns for them.
Awesome. Awesome. And so for those clients that you work with when using Mailshake, what kind of success have you seen with Mailshake?
We've seen lots of success. We would see typically across the board, if we look at, we'll say on the email side, leading
Hmm.
metrics like open rates, click rates, and reply rates, consistent numbers that we see across the board. And I always say to clients that, with outbound, there's very little that you can guarantee on the far end because you
Hmm.
don't know what's going to happen once campaigns go out there. But there are parts that you can control. And if you look after your data collection correctly and you look after deliverability in the right way, and obviously the tool that you use is a big part of that, you can control open rates in particular. And through Mailchimp, we're able to consistently get 60 to 80% open rates with those campaigns. That is one number that I'm always willing to put my neck on the line for with a client to say like this will happen. The others, we'll do our best to see what happens, but that number will happen. 60 to 80% open rates, click rates typically 20% plus, and
Nice.
then reply rates typically around 15%, although that one's a bit more of a variable depending on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But that would usually be it. We've seen cases where, now this would be an outlier, but we have one particular case study where the open rate was 92%, the click
Wow.
rate was 58%, and the reply rate was 36%. Not the norm, but particularly good campaign to a particularly niched audience. But certainly, I don't know if those kind of numbers would have been possible with another platform.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love that you said that too of you're able to put you're able to put that number on the line for open rates because with outbound there are some variables that you have out there and even when I'm talking with clients that use Mailshake or I'm assume you as an agency too that some people will ask, hey, what type of reply rate am I going to get? And a lot of that can be dependent on their offer, where they're getting their contacts from, things like that. But the fact that you can put that open rate out there and stand firm with it when talking and having that tangible number for the clients is amazing, and those are awesome numbers to have too.
Nice.
But cool. And so, how does Mailshake help you achieve those metrics that you just talked about?
So we have, given the nature of our business, it's this part is the core of everything we do. By far we have a broad tech stack, but this part is the most important part of it. It's the vessel for everything that we do. We do all of the work behind the scenes, and then Mailshake or let's say any sending platform is going to be what brings it out there. So naturally, we've tried everything. I would say that we've tried, without exaggeration, 20 to 25 of the leading kind of sales automation platforms over the past 3.5 years. We started out, Mailchimp was the first ever platform that I used coincidentally, when we started the business, after kind of doing some research. I had used some other ones in the past, in previous roles, but Mailchimp was the first. But in that time, because it's such an important part of the business, not that we weren't happy with Mailchimp, but we tested everything else
Mm-hmm.
along the way. And every 6 months or so, we typically just see what's out there and see what's
Yeah.
different. But every single time, without fail, we've come back and stayed with Mailchimp. So we've, maybe some other platform has something that like catches our eye, and then we go and it's not all it's cracked up to be. But the
Yeah.
reasons why we come back to Mailchimp every single time is there are There's a couple in particular. Deliverability is one thing
Hmm.
that I'm never willing to compromise on. And Mailshake is by far I have more confidence in Mailshake from a deliverability perspective than any other platform. I won't mention the names, but there are some big players in the space where deliverability is a problem. Definitely, it's an
Hmm.
unspoken problem. They don't talk about it, but the volume of sending from these platforms has caused some kind of impact. I don't know, it's maybe a conspiracy theory on my side, but I've seen it time and time again, and I've got feedback
Hmm.
from clients time and time again that they can't get open rates past a certain area and deliverability,
Hmm.
regardless of whether they're using custom tracking domains or not. It's just not going there. So
Oh,
that with Mailshake, I have more confidence with Mailshake than any other platform on the
hmm.
market, and that's an area that I'm not willing to compromise on.
Yeah.
Another big part of it that is very important is the UI aspect and simplicity of use. You know, you're going to ask
Hmm.
a lot of different team members to use something. It has to be easy. It has to be intuitive. Again, most aren't. You know, it seems like a
Hmm.
simple thing, but most platforms aren't. Mailchimp has consistently been feedback internally is always, very positive when using
Hmm.
Mailchimp. It hasn't been positive with other platforms, and that allows
Right.
us to make sure that quality control, consistency, people are following the guidelines, and everybody can kind of see with oversight as well what's happening there.
Right.
Yeah, those would be the main reasons.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, deliverability and usability, especially when you have different teams, at your agency working on different things. There's a lot of people that have their hands in and may have to do one part of the process or, take a look at the metrics of one part of the process. So it's important, to make sure that it's easy for everyone to just jump in there, pick up at a certain spot instead of teaching someone a whole different tool to use if it's difficult.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about deliverability? So, what is it about Mailshake that gives you better deliverability?
Um, so I suppose a couple of things. I think for anybody starting out, the ease to be able to follow best practices with deliverability, the ease to be able to set up custom tracking domains, um, is not to be sniffed at. That is an important part of it. It's set up. It's very easy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Deliverability is a weird world. Obviously, it's a kind of behind the
Mm-hmm.
scenes world. Nobody ever
Yeah.
really knows what's going on, and it's just an area that you just can't take any risks with. And for example, like we have tested side by side, and Mailshake was part of the testing with other ones. Data from the same sources, all validated in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Copy was the same, and there were, I think it was like 5 or 6 different platforms that we tested. Mailshake was out on top considerably. There was a couple others, again, I won't mention the names, that were okay. And then there was a couple of very, very big players, the two big players in the market
Mm-hmm.
that were way, way down with no
Oh.
variables of any capacity, none whatsoever. All
Mm-hmm.
the data was the same, all the messaging was the same, custom tracking domains, all best practices set to follow up. So I don't really know, like, why is Mailshake better at that? I don't know is the honest answer, but I do know from the
Mm-hmm.
data that it performs better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you brought up a good point of, if it's the first time you're using tool, the ease of it, making sure that at least the tool is watching out for it. Because I think that's a lot of what we preach at Mailshake, or I don't think I know that, at the end of the day, there's a ton of these different tools on the market, sales engagement softwares. But if you don't know what you're doing as far as deliverability or things like that, then, you could get into a spam folder. And if you're buying a tool, buying leads, writing copy, hiring a copywriter, pushing all of this out, that takes a lot of time and resources to just end up in the spam folder where no one's going to be reading your emails. And if no one's reading
Mhm.
your emails, you're not going to get any success from these campaigns. But is there any specific tool that helps you, just optimize for that deliverability in Mailshake?
Um, Tool. So like we follow a two-stage process when it comes to data
Mm-hmm.
verification. This is probably not practical for the vast majority of companies to do. We are an outbound business. We have the team
Mm-hmm.
set up to do it, so it makes sense for us. I don't think most companies will be set up to do it, but we
Mm-hmm.
build all of the lists manually. So we don't go to we use the common tools like ZoomInfo and Lusha and Apollo,
Mm-hmm.
Clearbit, and Contact Out to source the data. And obviously, it makes sense for us to have subscriptions with all of them because we can spread the cost. But we don't just stop there. And I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make is they go
Mm.
to a database platform like that, they press export and they assume everything is okay and they run it
Yeah.
out. And then they got 15% bounce rates, they got 24% open rates, and they think that's how it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
Um, but it isn't. There are a couple of one easy step to take is using online tools to validate the data and only
Hmm.
working with the valids. So that's a start. That would be the first round. But the second round is we do manual verification of all of these
Okay.
contacts. And this is
Hmm.
where the team comes in, being able to run dummy campaigns to all of these people to actually see what happens afterwards. Um, that helps us along the road with that. As well as then on the other side, with deliverability, um, and how Mailshake actually helps us to do this, probably a better kind of part of this, is there's a feature within Mailshake that doesn't exist, and I've given this feedback to Mailshake several times over the past
Hmm.
few years to please do not remove it at any cost. But there's a feature called a sending calendar, which does not exist in any other platform, to my knowledge, and I've tested, let's say, 2025 platforms. But the sending calendar allows us to control sending, have visibility of sending, and control deliverability. The logic is simple. You have your campaigns and you're able to see within your upcoming calendar for the next 3 to 4 weeks of what emails are going out from what campaigns from which email account on a day-by-day basis. What we want to be able to do is obviously prioritize new messaging. So if we write personalizations for a campaign that's going to go out over the last few days, we want those first emails, the fresh ones, to arrive in that person's inbox
Awesome.
as soon as possible. We don't want it to be
Hmm.
held up by maybe drip campaigns that were written, that are more generic copy, that are people that are way further down in the sequence, much lower priority stuff. With
Hmm.
any other platform that we've used, if we're trying to juggle between the two of those, what we end up doing is either having too many prospects in there and we're oversending and affecting deliverability, or
Hmm.
else we have to like pause and stop those other campaigns because we can't take, because we can't see, we don't know what's what, and we just have to send the new ones. So Mailshake allows us to, I suppose, prioritize what we want to prioritize and not oversend, which makes sure that we keep deliverability in check, as well as personalizing all the messaging to everybody. Obviously we do that to, we're not doing high volume kind of spammy stuff, which obviously helps a lot with
Hmm.
the deliverability.
Yeah, that's the best place to start there too. And yeah, I've seen, just from your own case studies on your website of all of it's very targeted. The amount of emails that you send out or the amount of people that you contact for your clients is a lower amount, which I think is the best place to begin if you want to have good deliverability along with what your team does internally with the list too. But awesome. Well, Barry, I'm so happy that you've had this success with Mailshake and that you're seeing those results with clients. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on here and talking a little bit more about how you use Mailshake and the results that you get from it.
My pleasure, Maggie. Anytime.
Awesome. And last thing, where can people find you, Barry?
So our website is leadable.io, leadable.io. We just have a new
Mhm.
website recently launched, so feel free to go check it out. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Barry Maroney, anywhere.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks so much. Thank you everyone for listening. All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Cheers, Maggie.